Nowadays, unfortunately, AI music has really been invading the major streaming platforms. The quality of these songs range from absolute dog water to, I guess, decently listenable. Looking at you, Spotify, my goat's Apple Music don't have that. So while Timbaland is having a midlife crisis and managing AI artists, I have to give a dishonorable mention to the AI songwriters simply prompting off of ChatGPT and letting Deus Ex Machina take the wheel. Now, to make things clear about my opinions on AI in music, I've likened it to the digital equivalent of adding MSG to your food. It's a good flavor enhancer.
This is crack.
It probably won't kill you, but you shouldn't dump a pile of it on your food.
Ugh.
I'm a firm believer in AI assistance and not AI dependency. With the latter, you get people prompting bars, bad AI art, and whatever the US government is doing. This is a joke, don't arrest me. I very much like being off the no-fly list. Anyway, I'm all for AI assistance in medicine and rescue applications. On the creative end of things, it's more dubious. One of the problems with AI art is that it's always being used as a means to an end. It's constantly being used, among other things, to expedite the creative process, or avoid having to pay or interact with another person entirely. And that's all bad and terrible. Recreating, tracing, or being inspired by AI art and passing it off as wholly your own idea is pretty bad in my opinion. So where am I going with this? A hot minute ago, more like 2 years, but let's ignore that, there was a lot of negative buzz surrounding an AI singer-songwriter. Fantano had a laugh, a few other YouTubers joined in, and it was used to pass a slow news day. Yeah, we're talking about Hannah Montana.
No, that is not Hannah Montana!
Sorry, Anna Indiana. Kind of a dumb name, but you know what, we'll let it slide. Wait, what was that? It's a play on AI? Well shit, I gotta give him that. The AI bros managed to think of something creative. From what I can gather, Anna, or whoever's running the page, used DALL-E to generate the original visuals, and a whole host of other things to create the music. Whoever's running the page now is using Suno AI, which Timbaland owns a part of. If you don't know what Suno is, you can just kinda type in a prompt and it just spits out a song for you. And it actually sounds somewhat presentable. If anything, this just shows the fact that they had no idea what they were doing musically and had to use a prompt to handle it all for them. But hey, at least they're not using the AI girlfriend nightmare generators they were using in the original videos. Anyways, I was dying of laughter when I first saw these videos covering it, and I just quickly forgot about it. Imagine making YouTube content with a shelf life longer than its actual runtime. 2 years later, I'm working on an album centered around Kasane Tedo's Synth V voice bank. Why is this relevant? Well, for the less Vocaloid savvy people in the audience, Anna Indiana uses the Natalie voice bank for Synth V. Synth V vocals are not AI generated, but AI enhanced to make them cleaner. I won't go into the specifics on how these voice banks are made, but it's done ethically and with the consent of the original singers. Anyone can go read up on it. This kind of technology has existed for almost 2 decades now. So while recording the album, I thought, hey, it might be funny to start polishing a turd. And after careful consideration, of course I picked the first one. What'd you think I would do? So I made it my goal that week to recreate the track. I know this is not an original concept, but I'll distinguish myself by reworking the song and actually using Synth V rather than, say, singing myself or making another AI generated cover. I think the first big improvement I can make here is to make a better backing track. Now, I'll let you know, despite having over 10 years of musical experience, my ass does not know how to play an instrument, or at least I wasn't taught the proper way how to play one. I'm like Dave Grohl without the adultery. I can't name you a chord or a scale, but I can definitely play by ear. Since I don't have a physical piano or synthesizer, I'll just write the notes on FL. Since the original just has the chords being played straight, I'll offset some of the notes and mess with the velocity to give it more of a natural feel. Add on a couple effects and now we've got a new piano track. Now comes the slightly harder part of recording the guitar track. I've only been playing for about 6 months, so I'll play some basic chords that fit the piano track and add some extra parts with my electric acoustic guitar. The original song doesn't seem to have a bass line in it, and I thought, hey, it would be nice to have a bass line here. And now we have new guitar tracks. I don't know how to write tabs, but the tuning is E-flat standard if anyone wants to try and play my version. Oh yeah, there's also drums. I don't know how to play drums, so I'll just program them. The original drums were low in the mix and were done in this subdued jazz style, so I replaced them with more punchy drums with a bit of groove on them. The original tempo of the song is at 70 BPM, which is kinda slow for my taste, so I gave it a small boost up to 76. You know, give it some energy. Now it's time to fix what really makes the song stink: the vocals. Most people are against the very idea of them being AI generated, but I think the most definingly bad thing about them is the overall execution. For normal people with normal ears, the singing sounds weirdly uncanny and flat. It almost sounds realistic, but it just fumbles on phrasing and holding notes longer than anyone really should. At times it feels like the lyrics are being forced into a melody that can't fit them all, if that makes sense. For the Vocaloid fans and producers in the audience, they can see and hear that the tuning is dog shit. Thanks to this screenshot, we can actually see there's a bit of a tuning going on. SynthV has a process that automatically tunes the vocals, which can be toggled on and off. The strange thing is that this isn't even the normal way the tuning auto-generates. I've used the software during that time period and it never made something so minimal. It usually does something more dramatic. So maybe this was an intentional choice by whoever made the vocals. It's just that the artistic direction they wanted to go with is making it sound like a skinwalker or something. Maybe it's a characteristic that the standard voice banks have. Can anyone who has the Natalie bank confirm this? Anyway, we can also see that there are no pitch bends or any breath notes. There are proper splits in the words with multiple syllables, which is one of the few things I can give credit for. Some inexperienced SynthV users would just kinda type those words in without accounting for how they would be pronounced when sung. The tuning situation overall is just plain weird. There's definitely human input here, but all the choices being made ended up making the song worse.
Now what about your lyrics?
What about them?
The last thing I want to mention are the lyrics themselves. The song is called Betrayed by This Town, so naturally you'd think the song would be focused on this specific town, but the song opens with the mention of a singular nondescript guy. This would imply that this one guy did something to this betrayed town. Is he a major authority figure, a politician, Anna's fake ex? But this part is immediately forgotten, and it shifts to talking about the town itself. A bit later in the song, it has a part talking about, quote, our favorite spots. Now the scope is kind of ambiguous here. Is Anna the only one being betrayed? Is the AI here with a group of people fighting against betrayal? You see, I'm not an expert in writing lyrics, and some of this might come off as a little nitpicky, but I'm trying to show that the writing is too abstract. Not in a way that can be deeply analyzed, but in a way that's just too general. The AI doesn't really focus on anything, it just goes in whatever direction it happens to be in. So you know what? I'll be rewriting most of the lyrics here. I tried to retain the, quote, spirit of the original, but I reworked some parts that didn't really work melodically, and added quite a bit of new stuff to fit with the idea of the song more. So you might be wondering, what voice bank am I going to be using? If you recall, I don't have the Natalie voice bank. Instead, we'll be using the one and only Kasane Solaria.
Oh, God! My penis!
Oh yeah, and I'm not going to be recreating the original video because I refuse to use any AI that I don't have to. I don't know, maybe one of you can recreate this in MMD. And now without further ado, here's part of the finished product.
I sit down here at my favorite cafe, sipping tea on a Saturday, thinking of all they've done to me. I walk through boulevards of broken dreams, filled up with my silent screams. Can someone come and let me out? I've been betrayed by this town. One day I'll tear it down, 'cause it's destined to fall. It's because they've lost it all, betrayed by this town. One day I'll tear it down, 'cause it's destined to fall. It's because they've lost it all.
I'll have the full version on my dedicated music channel if you really want to hear all of that. I don't feel like padding this video's runtime out. And now you know, with a little bit of elbow grease and human creativity, you can make a shitty AI song mediocre at best. I'm not gonna act like I made a masterpiece. The source material just wasn't that good in the first place. If I deviated any further from the original, it would have been a completely different song. So we got a generic pop ballad. Anyway, the person behind the account probably doesn't give a single fuck about being dunked on, and hey, they like to live in a world where they think they're actually talented. This person probably used Synth V because they saw AI and hopped on it thinking they could just bypass actually having to try. But you know what? This was fun. Actually making something. The CEO of Suno doesn't seem to agree.
It's not really enjoyable to make music now. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
Imagine having to learn how to make good music. What a primitive concept. Anyways, use AI responsibly, boys and girls. And class is dismissed.